Morning, LMS. Chose this route to do a meeting with you instead of meeting in person this morning, just with the uh, simple fact of respecting your time. Um, so, just to start with, um, a quote: "The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is," and I think about that with respect to the relationships and the conflict that is going on in society right now at the school board meeting last night and the differing perspectives on everything. Think about that with our kids and how you're interacting with our kids. Um, you know, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. So, what are others going to say about how you treat them? What are our kids going to say about how you treat them? Think about that, because dependent upon their viewpoint of view is going to determine whether or not they're willing to learn from you or not. And folks, we got a lot of work to do with respect to learning, and I'll go over that in just a little bit. Mrs. Thompson skipped out. She got by on this one celebration. She'll lead our next staff celebrations. Continue to send those positive office referrals, those staff shout outs to me. I keep getting a few of them for kids, and I'll throw August and September together, and then we'll have you guys vote on a kid of the month like we did last year. But if there are staff shout outs, send those to me as well. The Kagan strategy, just thinking about those SMART goals that we wrote at the start of the year. I've seen and been in quite a few classrooms, and I've seen some Kagan strategies, and I appreciate that. Think about that. It's really easy to do that in the first couple weeks of school, but where are you at now, and where are you going to be at the end of this 9 weeks? It's really easy to be the bomb.com for a week or a couple days, but maintaining that day to day for our kids is a little bit tougher. So think about how you're going to do that. The inclusion activity that we were going to do together was with respect to our kids and a relationship with them, and I've printed those class lists that we had at the start of the year, and I would ask that you take a red pen or pencil or something, differentiate from the start of the year till now. But we're several weeks into school, and those class lists I've put back in the lounge area on the table back there, and over the course of the next week, stop in and update that list. And is there a kid on there that you've built a relationship with that didn't have one at the start of the year? And are there some kids on there that still don't have relationships with an adult in the building? And how we can garner those relationships to help support learning, because oftentimes, as is the case, the kids that are most difficult to build relationships are those that need us the most and need the most academic help. Our next activity, our learning target, was the SMART goals, and I was just going to have a conversation with you, and I just want you to do some self-reflection on your SMART goals that you've handed in, or some of you have handed in. With respect to PBL and Kagan, where are you at with them? Where are you at? What support do you need? We're just going to do a stand-up, sit-down activity. That was a simple check for understanding that you could do in your class just to create a little bit of movement with your kids. But where are you at with your SMART goals? Where are you at with your Kagan cooperative learning structure? And then where are you at with implementing some PBL-style lessons or units? The Flex Lunch Instructional Coach time, we'll have a conversation more about this in the future. The DLT, BLT, whatever you want to call it, met, I believe it was last week, and we talked about a few of these things. Mandy and Gina and myself, and trying to get everybody with an instructional coach and just some peer accountability, some peer contingency with respect to your SMART goals. And I was going to have Mandy meet with math teachers and Tanya meet with the ELA teachers, and then probably myself or Mrs. Hill meet with social studies and science and we'll get a schedule figured out over Flex Lunch and just have some conversations, because education, oftentimes we're really, really good at doing something at the start of the year and then not coming back to it. And I want to structure our system in a way that we come back to those things that we've started and those investments that we've made with respect to Kagan. So think about where you're at with your goal. When you meet with an instructional coach, what might you need, or what obstacles you've ran into with respect to meeting that goal. Walk through data. Why are we talking about this? Well, it's to increase rigor, and I'll go to our walkthrough data. I've printed off some reports. This is our school-wide report for this year, and this is the level of learning or cognitive level that I see in most of the classes. 10% receiving knowledge, 14% applying, and then 71% analyzing and evaluating. So think about that. We need to be, I understand there's going to be some on the left-hand side of that chart. You know, there's always going to have to be some receiving of knowledge, but we need our kids applying and critically thinking and analyzing, and that's where their learning, their true learning comes from. I've been really happy with relationships. I felt like this year, the overall demeanor, the overall feel when we walk in the hallways is upbeat. I appreciate seeing teachers in the hallways. You know, the kids appreciate seeing you guys in the hallways in between classes. It cuts down on some of the shenanigans. I appreciate the respectful interactions when a kid messes up. You know, we all mess up. Every single one of us messes up. And when some kid messes up and there's an opportunity to learn, how are you going to treat that kid? You know, and are we walking up and down the halls looking for kids to mess up, or are we walking up and down the halls looking to, you know, catch the kids doing something good? Because the more of what we look for is what we're going to get. So if you look for the negative, oh buddy, you're going to find it. Our kids are, they're immature. They don't take care of their stuff. And sure, we could go up and down the halls and look for all that stuff, and we're going to find it. But I would encourage you guys to go up and down the halls. We got good kids here, and call out the positive, and you know, let them know when they're doing something good, because kids want to please, and they'll learn to please in a positive way if we reinforce that with some positive conversations. So Kagan structures, and I've been in classes a whole lot more than 21 times and seen more Kagan, but I just, you know, haven't necessarily been in there and been doing a walkthrough during that time. So this is the key piece here, the student engagement right here, and then teacher engagement. As long as those two pieces of this walkthrough are 100%, and then we scroll back up here to the top and we have kids analyzing and creating and evaluating, you know, 75 to 80% of the time, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with that. Again, you know, those classes that I walk in that the teacher, you know, they're in the middle of the kids, and they're even if they're doing projects, they're always in the middle of them. They're always guiding and coaching, and you know, that's what I like to see. We got to get in the middle of it, and it's messy work, and we can't just stand on the side and let our kids do something without helping them. So I like, you know, and I've seen in a lot of our classrooms, I appreciate that coach mentality is what I call it. You know, we're in there and we're coaching, we're critiquing along the way, and we're pivoting all the time, and you know, being in triple threat for all you basketball coaches. You know, that triple threat stance with respect to what do we need to do next, or where are our kids at here? And I've been really excited about that this year, so thank you for doing that. Over here on the right hand side of this, talking about learning targets and the importance of learning targets and why I've been hitting on learning targets and asking you to post your objectives or your essential questions. And the specific reason, the simplest answer is to increase rigor. So a learning target, some of them have been written in I can explain harsh, this is my social studies guru or language. I can explain the harsh conditions facing the Revolutionary War soldiers. So that's pretty self-explanatory, and that would be kind of on the left-hand side of this walkthrough. Let me get back to it here really quick, just a copy of it. That would be over here. I can explain, and we want our kids over on this side of it where they're applying and analyzing and critically thinking about the subject at hand. So, for example, I can explain the harsh conditions facing the Revolutionary War and write a letter from a soldier's perspective. So when we get to perspective, then we start looking at comparing and contrasting, appraising, ranking, or defending. The writing of is demonstrating. So again, we're moving to the right on that Bloom's. So write a letter from a soldier's perspective that details the weather, environment, food, clothing, weapons, and shelter. So this is, the learning target, the performance task, and the success criteria. Just wanted to give you an example of another way to possibly write your objectives, another way to get our kids over here on the right-hand side of this Bloom's cognitive level. And with a majority of them, I understand all of your kids aren't going to be over here all the time, but most of our time needs to be spent right here. So grade level meetings, make sure you're meeting with your peers. We're going to have some content level meetings, and I think we will plan those, a half day or a day. I'll talk to the content people and figure out exactly what you guys want that to look like. Student growth conferences, if you have any ideas, I would sure like to move towards a student growth conference where kids are owning their learning. They are owning the direction of their learning. They're able to explain to their parents what we're doing here, why we're doing it, what iReady is, why we're doing iReady, where they're at personally on that. So think about that. I'm going to hit you up on some student growth ideas, student growth conferences ideas. KISA, we're in our KISA year, in our 5th year, our accreditation year, and I just wanted you to look at this. This is what we're going to have to do. It's a link in here. You can click on it and look at it yourself. Just talking about telling our story, the compliance, foundational structure, needs assessment, sustainability improvement, and then the outcomes. So anyway, that's just more for your reference than anything. And then the accreditation flow chart, again, just for you to look at specifically the benchmarks and criteria that we're going to be judged on our, interventions. What is interventions in LMS? How do we engage stakeholders? What are we doing to engage parents? Do we have a system-wide practice, or are we just kind of do it okay? And then getting down here to the rows capacities. Anyway, just for reference for you guys to look at. One thing I did want to update you on, we had the board meeting last night, and I've got the board agenda here. And there's some public comment. Kyle Hartman talked about his sign that he's raised money for and what the logistics and planning of that goes or looks like in the future. And then the rest of the comments, the public comment related to, I'm going to call it the polarization of the mask vaccine versus no mask, vaccine dilemma that our society is facing, and had doctors and citizens present on their opinions and their I guess thoughts on what we should do as a school with respect to masks and vaccines. And then we took a 5-minute recess after that, and I'm going to say 75% of the folks left when we went into the reports. And I wish they would have stuck around because, I want everybody, we got work to do, and we have to stay together as a community. And this whole polarization of, depending on what side you are, where you're at with masks or no masks, our number one goal here is to educate kids. And if we look at the growth from last year with iReady Diagnostic, and this is math here, okay? We had small gains in math, but we didn't implement it for very long before we took the second diagnostic, okay? So that's our math, where our kids are at currently, and this was this was last year. This was as a building level, okay? And if we go to reading, that's what it looks like. So we had growth in all the areas. Math, we have more tier 2. Reading, we have more tier 3, and the red means they're 2 or more grade levels below. And then I was wanting to show you this as well for this year, okay? This is reading, okay? So right here, this is how many students we have 2 grade levels or below. And that's, that's pretty glaring, and we have a lot of work to do. And there was a comment last night made about, people are exhausted and tired of fighting the masks, and I told them that educators could empathize with being exhausted and tired, because this is what we're showing up to every single day, and this is what we're trying to fix every single day and change. And it's long, hard, arduous work that you guys don't get enough praise for. So this is the dilemma that we're at. I just wanted to show you guys where our students were at with respect to reading, and this is based off of this year's scores. I'm extremely happy with this right here. We're doing better, and I think the structure and the tiered interventions and iReady and the personalized instruction plan for every single kid, and our Kagan activities and engagement and the morale all has to do with this side right here. So that's reading for this year. Sorry, I was on last year. That's reading for this year. And then this is math. Okay, so this is math for this year. And again, that's, it's normal that we have more kids over here at the start of the year, or less kids over here at the start of the year than over here. So just think about that. That's the reason we're doing this work. The other thing that I wanted to show you guys, and I'll have a copy of this in your box, but this is the Hess matrix, and it applies Webb's depth of knowledge levels to Bloom's cognitive levels, and this has one for reading, and again, moving from left to right, so depth of knowledge level 1 to extended thinking, or level 4. And then over here it has the Bloom's taxonomy. And as you guys write your lesson objectives and we figure out what we want our essential questions to be, I would refer you to this, okay, and making that statement more rigorous, making that statement of understanding more rigorous for our kids, so it's not just a can you, yes or no type of question. There's one for math and science here. This was a health and PE. I believe there's a social studies and humanities, and then a fine arts one. And I'll print those off for you guys and put them in your box. That way you have that as a reference point. And then I'm sure you're tired of listening to me. I'm tired of talking. I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to put this in your box as well. And then I'm going to ask you, which one are you going to work on today? Which one are you going to work on the rest of this week? And which one are you going to work on the rest of the year? Bringing your best to work every single day. Giving 2 minutes of your time to one student or one staff member every day. I would challenge you to not make this somebody you talk to already every single day. Being empathetic and having an understanding of where our kids are coming from. The value the mistakes of others. Are we valuing the mistakes of others, or are we just looking to, man, they made a mistake and we're ready to, chop their head off? How are you? What's your frame of mind around a mistake? What's your frame of mind? How do you frame conflict? There's two types of people: one who looks for solutions and one who looks for problems. And which one are you going to be? Modeling forgiveness. Understand you will not always see immediate results when working with kids. Holy moly. And I'm preaching to the choir. It's hard, arduous, frustrating work at times, but it's good work that you guys are doing. Having high standards for all kids every day. Yeah, not making excuses based on all of the environmental things, but do we believe in our kids? And it also helps if you love them. If you bite a kid's head off and chop their head off and chew them out for doing this or that, and they don't think you care for them, they aren't going to change their behavior. You got to come alongside them. You got to make sure they know you care for them. And each kid's different. Addressing inappropriate behavior. What you allow, you condone. Don't be negative, and don't be negative. That breeds into everything. Our kids can see it, they can feel it. Okay, and then take time to smile, laugh, and encourage others to have fun. I'm looking forward to this afternoon. Thank Mrs. Pollard and Stuco. Some people love me, some people hate me, but I hope that every one of you know that I try to have fun every single day, and if you can't have fun, then I don't really know what the purpose in coming to a job is if you can't have fun. So hopefully you guys can find one of these 10 things. What are you going to work on today? What are you going to work on this week? What are you going to work on the rest of the year? So sorry we didn't meet in person. I felt like I could cover a lot of this stuff just in a little screencast-o-matic. And I believe, without further ado, that is all I have. Thanks for the work you guys are doing. We'll see you.